Starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Face in your face. Face in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negro. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching the channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense, because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is a YouTube channel, a much smaller channel called Latina Diaspora, where I talk about issues pertaining to Latinos residing in the United States. The description to that channel is in the link. I see that we already have a comment. Good evening, USA. Thank you very much for stopping by. Well, that's one way to deal with grief. Okay. But in any case, I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay. Excuse me. Also, I need to let everybody know that the subscriber mode has been enabled, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate your love and support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow my social media and all those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do is the following. I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do create content, you have the opportunity to either catch it live or catch it on the playback. Okay. So as you can see by the topic for tonight is how to deal with grief. Now, this is not the first time I've dealt with this topic, but it does need to be discussed because the fact of the matter is we are going to have to deal with the loss of loved ones. That's something that we cannot avoid. Okay. Just like we cannot avoid taxes. So we're going to talk about it. Now, I do apologize for the early start, being that this was going to be on at 9:30, but of course, Latin Spring TV will be on at 9:20. So this stream is probably going to last about an hour, perhaps 75 minutes. Again, there will need no backstage tonight. Okay. So also death is something that I have dealt with because unfortunately I've lost 7 members of my family, so I'll also going to be sharing my personal experiences. But before we get into the main topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Excuse me. Um, so today, it was announced that Guantanamo Bay will be used as a prison camp to house the so-called criminal illegal aliens. Okay, uh, that could be troublesome because and the reason why I say that could be troublesome is because what happens is when you're talking about a mass deportation, it's a possibility that U.S. citizens can get caught up in this stupidity that we have to go through. Um, so my concern is what is the safeguards that will be placed so that people like you and me won't get rounded up by ICE and then get sent to Guantanamo Bay, um, which will most likely happen is we will have no opportunity for legal representation and basically we will be left to die over there. Um, that's something I'm going to have to do some research about. Uh, at some point, I may cover it once I become more familiar with it. Now, it was announced at one of our committee meetings tonight from local that Eric Adams may be stepping down as mayor. Now, I said may because I have not heard any official notification. I don't know whether it's true. What we do know is that he's been limiting his appearances uh, due to undisclosed health considerations. So we don't know whether or not that is a factor that's leading Adam Adams to not run for reelection. We do not. I do not know. Um, as soon as I am abreast as far as more information, it will be provided. Okay. Um, there's been a considerable litigation against the federal government that were filed by 22 attorney generals regarding this American administration plans to freeze funding to certain programs. Okay. Um, supposedly under the notion of trying to waste spending. Um, in all fairness, I mean there's fact, but we have to accept the fact that we have citizens here in this country who are in need of social services, who are in need of Medicaid, who are in need of SNAP, and things of that nature. Okay, I will never have issue with anyone that through going through economic times, um, excuse me, that they should gain access to services that they need. The issue has always been people who do not qualify and getting these services anyway. But that's neither here nor there. Okay. And of course, we all know who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl, which it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Now, this is the one Super Bowl that many people did not want to see. Um, because first of all, there's been allegations that the Kansas City Chiefs has gotten special treatment from the referees as far as their calls and things of that nature. Um, you know, whenever a team is doing very well, there's going to be some sour grapes involved, and there's going to be allegations that basically they're doing it through trickery and through guile. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. All I'm going to say is this. We are going to have a Super Bowl, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. Um, and actually, history might be made that this might be the first time that a person repeats as the Super Bowl champs. Um, will Kansas City succeed and win the Super Bowl for the third straight time? Will the Philadelphia Eagles gain their second Super Bowl in about, I think, 6 years? Um, Time will tell. What I do know, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of strategy, and it also takes some luck. Okay. And of course, we all know the team that usually plays better usually wins. Of course, it will help if they get a couple of breaks along the way. But that's neither here nor there. Okay. Now, next week I'm gonna try something different because this it is a challenge to do a stream 3 nights in a row. Monday, this channel, Tuesday, my other channel, and then tonight as well. So next week's schedule is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about it on Friday stream, which will have ongoing open discussion. So basically, what looks like it's going to be a Tuesday stream, a Sunday stream, a Tuesday stream, and a Thursday stream. The reason for the Thursday stream because on Friday, February the 7th, I'll be attending a function with my local. Okay. And while I can do a late night stream, realistically, I don't think too many people are going to stay up late to listen to me pontificate. Well, I could be wrong. I mean, actually, I didn't think last night's stream will get as much views. I think it got over 30 views, which is a lot considering, it's a much smaller channel. It's a less known channel. But, that's a situation when you have the opportunity to create content for 2 channels, plus dealing with a full-time job. So you gotta do it when you can. And plus you gotta be mindful that this is gonna be doing a stream in about an hour. So it is what it is. I mean, that's what happens here in YouTube. Sometimes a lot of people get on the same time, and usually it affects the attendance. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. Now, I want to state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit the link and express an opinion regarding the topic in hand, they may do so. Let me just state again, if I have never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that people do not show anything inappropriate, which would cause the people of YouTube to take down their stream. Now, as I stated, I know I talked about this topic before, but it's something that we do need to we do need a refresher course of things what to do. Okay. Now the fact of the matter is, as we get older, we're going to be losing more and more of our loved ones. Okay. Um, some people will pass away due to old age. Others will pass away uh, due to illnesses. Others will pass away or will die due to tragic circumstances. What is what is a common denominator is that um, Grief is something very difficult. At times, we don't wish to discuss it, but we do need to discuss it because as you get older, more and more people in your circle will be passing away. I mean, in my case, in my lifetime, within the last almost 35 years, I've lost both my parents, four of my siblings, and two of my nephews. And that's not even counting grandparents. That's not even counting uncles and aunts. That's not even counting um, close friends of mine. Okay. The grief is a part of the process, and it's something we all need to deal with and understand. And the sooner that we able to grasp it, um, the better we will be more prepared um, to deal with it. Okay, so my computer is acting a little jinky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it because I don't have the time or energy to be going back and forth waiting for for, for the image to load. Just give me a moment. Let's see. Now I'm going to read. I'm going to read to you an article regarding coping with grief and loss. Okay. When someone close to you dies, your world changes. You are in mourning, feeling grief and sorrow at the loss. You may feel numb, shocked, and fearful. You may feel guilty for being the one that's still alive. You may even feel angry at your loved one for leaving you. All these feelings are normal. There's no rules about how you should feel. There is no right or wrong way to mourn. When you grieve, you can feel both physical and emotional pain. People who have grieving often cry easily and can have trouble sleeping, little interest in food, problems in concentration, or a hard time making decisions. As time passes, you may still miss the loved one, but for most people, the intense pain will lessen. Um, I would say for the most part, there are those that you know the pain is still present, and we need to acknowledge them. There will be good and bad days. You may feel guilty or surprised for laughing at a joke or enjoy visiting with a friend. It's important to understand that these can be common feelings. So these are certain things what we can do um, when you're dealing with grief. Finding a support system. There's so many ways to grieve and learn to accept loss. Try not to ignore your grief. Support may be available until you can manage your grief on your own. While family and compassionate friends can be supported, they may be grieving too. Some people find sharing memories and stories about the person's gone is one way to help each other. Sometimes people hesitate to bring up the loss or mention the name of the person who died because they worry this can be hurtful. But many people find it helpful to talk directly about the loss. You're all coping with death of someone who was important in your lives. Now, it can get complicated, and I'm going to explain how it can. It's normal to feel sad, numb, or lost for a while after someone close to you dies. But for some people, mourning can go on so long or be so distressing that it becomes unhealthy. This prolongs an intense reaction to loss is known as complicated grief. People with this condition may be unable to comprehend or accept the loss, experience intense sorrow and emotional pain, and have trouble resuming their own lives and making plans for the future. Other signs of complicated grief may include having overwhelming negative emotions, feeling preoccupied with the person who died or the circumstances of the death, and being unable to find meaning or purpose in life. Complicated grief can also be a serious condition. Those who may have it may need additional help to overcome the loss. If sadness is making it difficult for you to carry on your day-to-day life, help is available. Reach out to a support group, mental health professional, or loved ones for support. If causes affect the ask your doctor or healthcare provider if they know of any local healthcare professionals or programs that offer low cost or free help. Now here in New York, we have NYC Well, which any New Yorker can call and they can get counseling, speaking to therapists, to deal with the loss and do it with low cost or no cost. Now I'm going to talk to you about how grief counseling can help. Some people find that grief counseling makes it easier to work through their sorrow. Regular talk therapy with a grief counselor or therapist can help those who are grieving learn to accept that. There are also support groups for grieving people to help each other. These groups can be specialized. People who lost loved ones to Alzheimer's disease, for example, or they can be for anyone learning to manage grief. Check with local hospitals and senior centers, nursing home, religious groups, funeral homes, or your doctor to find support groups in your area. Hospice care professionals can provide grief counseling, sometimes called bereavement support, to the family of someone who was under their care. Let me just check and see. Okay. You can also ask hospice workers for bereavement support even if the hospice was not used before the death. For older adults who are socially isolated or have limited family nearby, there are resources available. And I'm going to talk about some of those resources. Online support groups. Many online forums or support groups offer online are free and can help offer support from home. Online therapy or counseling sessions. If you're looking for a therapist or counselor to address your grief or loss, many offer online sessions that can help you attend from your home. Also, support books can be a great way to understand grief and sorrow, and they can provide tips to help overcome these feelings. Check your local library or ask a librarian for recommendations. There are also community resources. Some communities offer grief and loss counseling or resources. Check with your local community center, senior center, faith community, or hospital to learn what they offer. Now, there's some other things you can do to help deal with grief. Taking care of yourself while grieving. In the beginning, you might find taking care of details and keeping busy helps. For a while, family and friends may be around to assist you, but then there comes a time when you need to face the change in your life. There's some ideas to help to keep in mind. Take care of yourself. Grief can be hard on your health. Exercise regularly, eat healthy food, and try to get enough sleep. Bad habits such as drinking too much alcohol or smoking can put your health at risk. Make mealtime plans. Some people who have lost loved one lose interest in cooking and eating. Sometimes eating at home feels alone can feel too quiet. So it may help to have lunch with friends. Turning on the radio or TV during meals can also help. For information on nutrition and cooking for one, Look for books at your local library, bookstore, or online. You can also talk with caring friends. Let family and friends know when you want to talk about your loved one. When possible, accept their offers of help and company. You can also participate in your favorite activities, doing things you enjoy, such as painting, biking, volunteering, or social club events, can help improve overall mood and well being. Listening to uplifting music may also bring comfort. Also, you may want to try considering reaching out to your faith community. Many people who are grieving find comfort in spending time with others who share their religious beliefs, praying, or reading religious or spiritual scripture. And of course, see your doctor. Keep up with your visits with your healthcare provider. If it's been a while, schedule a checkup and bring your doctor up to date on pre-existing medical conditions and any new health issues that may be of concern. Let your healthcare provider know if you're having trouble taking care of everyday activities such as personal hygiene and dressing or fixing meals. One thing to bear in mind, mourning takes time. It's common to have a roller coaster of emotions for a while. If you have children, remember they're grieving too. It will take time for the whole family to adjust with life without your loved one. You might find your relationship with the children and their relationship with others have changed. Honest communication is important. When you feel ready to go through your loved one's clothes and other person either, it may be hard to give these away these belongings. Instead of parting with everything once, it might take three piles: one to keep, one to give away, and one to share. Ask your children or others to help. Think about setting aside such things as a special piece of clothing, watch, favorite book, or picture to give to your children or grandchildren as special reminders of your loved ones. Now, what do you do when you're mourning the loss of a spouse or partner? If you lost a spouse or partner, you may worry about how you will take care of yourself or your home. Many couples divide up their household tasks. One person may pay the bills and handle car repairs. The other may cook meals and mow the lawn. Splitting jobs often work well until there's only one person that must do it all. Learning to manage new tasks, from chores to household repairs to finances, can take time. Reaching out to friends and family who are close by to help manage tasks right after your loss can help. Excuse me, just excuse me. Just I'm sorry, just my phone is acting up. Being alone can also increase concern about safety. It's a good idea to ensure that there are working locks on the doors and windows. Facing a future without a spouse or partner can be scary, especially for those who never lived alone. Those who are both widow and retire may feel very lonely and become depressed. Talk to your doctor about how you're feeling. Socializing after the death of a loved one. It may be overwhelming to think about going to parties or other social events without your loved one. It can be hard to think about coming home alone. If you were married and had a long time partner, you may feel anxious about dating. Many people miss the feeling of closeness that marriage or other intimate relationships can bring. After time, some may be ready to have a social life again. Now, there are some things to remember. Go at a comfortable pace. There is no rush. It is okay to make the first move when coming to planning things to do. Volunteer. Try group activities. Invite friends for a potluck dinner or participate in activity in a local community or senior center. Consider lower stress informal outings such as walks or movies. Find activity that you like. You may have fun and meet people who share your interests. You can develop meaningful relationships with friends and family members of all ages. Many people find that pets provide comforting companionship. Getting your legal financial paperwork in order. When you feel ready, you might consider getting your legal and financial affairs in order. If you're married and your spouse died, you may need to update certain legal documents and other paperwork. For example, you might need to write a new will and update your advance care planning. Look into a dual power of attorney for legal matters and health care in case you're unable to make your own medical decisions in the future. Put a joint property such as house and car in your name. Consider changes that you may need to make in your health insurance as well as your life, car and home owner's insurance. Make a list of bills that you need to pay for the next few months. For example, your rent, mortgage, utility, electricity, water, and phone and internet insurance, and state federal taxes. And we're going to park it here. Okay. Now I know that I gave you a lot of information. I'm going to try to break it down. But these are a lot of things that to consider and to do. But one thing you need to bear in mind that everyone has different experiences when it comes to grief. And it's perfectly normal that you will have different reactions regarding loved ones passed away. Okay. A lot of it has to do with how close the person was with you and things of that nature, and also the nature of the relationship that you had with this person. In my case, when my mother passed away, uh, I took her passing very hard. Okay. That was due to the fact, first of all, I was very close to my mother. Also, I was my mother's caregiver. Um, I also spent a considerable amount of time um, between my home and my mother's place, um, due to the fact that her health has been was deteriorating, and the last few months of her life, I mean, my mother struggled to get around with a walker, and she had to use a wheelchair more often, and many times she would slip and fall. So these are things that I dealt with, and also the circumstances of passing would be different. Okay. For example, um, one of my nephews was killed in an automobile accident, and he was only 22 when he died. And I don't want to get into the circumstances. All I can say that the circumstances were tragic and it was sad. It was very difficult, particularly for my oldest sister, because my nephew was her only son. Okay, and the grief that a parent goes through when a child passes away, it's very difficult. Okay, I have no children, so I have no way of knowing how horrible the feeling it is to lose a child, considering the fact that we expect the parents to pass away before the children. So the fact that my nephew was killed at such a young age, um, it was really very sad circumstances. And it's like, it happened uh, 27 years ago. It's like it's like going through it today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you one more article. Then we're going to talk a little bit, and then um, I'm going to wrap up the stream because I'm trying to keep this uh, between an hour and 75 minutes. So the question is how to deal with grief after suffering a painful loss according to mental health experts. For those who are dealing with loss, grief is painful, confusing, consuming, and detaching all at once. It's hard for loving bystanders too, who want to so desperately to show help, but just don't know how. The process may seem cut and dry, but there's no one way that people grieve. Most people commonly grief is follow a death of a loved one, but the feeling of intense loss can also follow divorce or the end of a relationship, including a friendship and miscarriage or loss of a job. Of course, the most common emotion associated with the loss is deep sadness, but there's are also plenty of other feelings that you might experience during the grieving process. You may feel depressed, angry, fearful, anxious, exhausted, numb, isolated, or be in a state of denial, shock, or disbelief. You can even feel a sense of relief, which leads to guilt. These feelings can set in at any time, bubble up without warning, and last as long as they're meant to. They can also become overwhelming and even start to impact your physical health by disrupting your sleep and energy, appetite, and concentration. Some people grieve for years, while others become more functional as time goes on. They may feel still get hit out of nowhere with grief-related feelings said. It's important to be compassionate and understanding with yourself. Somewhere along the way, we came to view grieving as fitting into a model of 5 or 7 stages of grief, including the primary emotions mentioned before, such as sadness, shock, pain, or anger. But in reality, experts agree that that's not necessarily how things go. I think most models can be useful to understand these types of emotions that come up, but grief isn't linear and more circular. For example, you might feel that like you're accepted the loss, then something happens months later, and you circle back to denial. It's very normal and realistic way of thinking. Don't feel like you're taking steps back. It's just processing in a way that's unique to you and your situation. Now, there's some things we can do when we're dealing with this process. Acknowledge the loss, create space for your feelings, understand that grief is a lifetime journey. Know there can be joy in a point loss. With time and work, you may feel better. Ahead, experts share their tips on how to deal with grief so you can eventually come to terms with it. Your day-to-day activities may feel difficult after a loss, and they may continue to evolve as time goes on. For some people, it's business as usual, get up, go to work, and repeat. Others start small while making the bed each morning, remembering to make breakfast. It's not important what your routine looks like. Just try to your best to have one. Grieving has a way of walking a sense of safety, but routine creates stability, which is often called as safety. One thing we have to bear in mind, we need to be open to our feelings. It's important to identify individuals you're comfortable in sharing your feelings with. This can include family, friends, co-workers, or close to, or people you have experienced several type of loss, such as a support group. Don't manage your grief alone. If there's ever time to lean on family or friends, this would be it. Let people know how you're feeling and if you're struggling. Share memories and experiences. Share tears, anger, and laughter. It will go a long way in managing that process. If you're the listening ear, be open-minded and ask what can you do to help instead of telling someone what you think will make them feel better. There is no timetable for grief, so the most important thing is to be a support. Ask what you can do to make their life a little easier, and then listen to what they say. So another thing can help is engage in rituals. If you lost a loved one, no matter how hard it may seem, it can be helpful to participate in funeral memorial services because it gives you a chance to be around others who are grieving the same person you are. Doing something on your own can honor someone's memory, can also be a source of comfort, such as creating a memory book to look on and journaling or engaging in that person's favorite activity. It can also be helpful to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, or other occasions that give you a chance to reflect. Even someone as simple as lighting a candle on the birthday can help you feel positive memories of that person and spark conversation to help you feel less isolated. Okay. One thing that goes hand in hand with grief are triggers. There can be something as innocuous as a particular smell or something more momentum or like a major life event. One way to handle it is often an unexpected way of emotion. Simply feel them, really take note of them, and then adjust. It can be painful to still be crying years up down the line, but take a step back and think the person was such an important part of your life that you still have strong emotions. And that's a beautiful thing and shows the strength of your relationship. A good way to stay on track and actively focus on moving forward is to really check in on yourself about what you're getting out of your life and what you're doing to reach your goals. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. The topic for tonight is how to deal with grief. So basically, I've been sharing different things that we can do to help deal with that. It can really their lives in a meaningful way that brings joy instead of sitting too long in feelings of emptiness which can derail you. Now, let me check and see. Okay, I have to apologize. It does that. I want to make sure that if anyone joins the chat and Instagram to acknowledge them. Try to do one thing each day that supports one of your values. For example, if knowledge is important to you, read a book on a topic you've been wanting to learn more about. If nourishing your body and mind is crucial to feeling full, spend time each week cooking a delicious meal. And of course, seek help if you need it. There's no single way to know when it's time right to ask for help, but don't be afraid to seek out a professional therapist or even a trusted confidant like a pastor or a mentor. Remember, grief is not linear and does not fit in a neat box of phases. There will be both ups and downs during the process, but you should be able to feel sparks of hope, experience joy with loved ones, and take note of the moments that you feel happy as you cope with whatever makes sense to you. But when grief feels constant, as there's no up switch to your suffering, it can turn into full blown depression. Some common signs include not be able to function in your day-to-day life, struggling to feel a range of emotions other than sadness, having strong feelings of hopelessness, worthiness, or guilt, experience self-deletion thoughts. So if at any time you are thinking about deleting yourself, don't. Uh, Reach out to the National Solution Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Or you can also text the crisis text line by text and talk to 741-741. Okay. And we're going to talk it here. So as you can see here, there's a lot of things that will help us to deal with grieving. Okay. And again, everyone deals with grief differently. There are people who are very emotional. There are people who are very reserved, and then there's people who don't show any emotion at all. It might come across that they don't care. No, it's not. Most likely, it is their way of dealing with grief. It is their way. So, um, one of the worst things you can do is try tell people snap out of it. Because what that does, it could encourage that person to bottle up any feelings, any or repress any feelings, and then they can enter into a state of depression when they think about self deletion. Okay, and of course, I'm going to say a couple of things regarding you know, how to approach a person that's grieving. Okay, one thing to bear in mind: there's no words that, for the most part, that we can say that that can lessen their grief. Now, this is what I say to people who are grieving. I am truly sorry for your loss. There's nothing that I can say or do that can lessen your pain. Please bear in mind that I will keep you in my thoughts and my prayers. Now, those statements are very helpful, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, you acknowledge the fact that the person is grieving. You acknowledge the fact the person has lost someone. Okay. And you're not going there to try to belittle their grief. You're not going there to try to trivialize their grief. You're not, telling people to snap out of it. What you're acknowledging that what that person is going through is unique to that person. Okay. Uh, there's not a great deal that we can say or do. Okay. Now, the other part is when I say, I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers. In other words, what you're doing is, in essence, you are uniting with that person. And if you say you're going to pray for someone, make sure that you do. Don't just say you're going to pray for someone and you don't, because sometimes we can get very busy and things of that nature. But if you look, even though the person won't know whether or not you didn't pray, God knows. Okay. So if you say that you're going to pray for someone, do so. Okay. And it could be to simply God help them or what have you. Or God help them to help them to navigate the loss. Because if there's one person that can understand loss, that can understand grief, it's Jesus. Okay. In fact, the Bible talks about that Jesus wept at Lazarus' tomb. Okay. Now, this is the Son of God, or what we identify as the Son of God. It's God incarnate. Okay. And the fact, excuse me just one moment. Hello? My apologies. I just have to go mute regarding my transportation for tomorrow. But going back, by saying that I'm sorry for their loss, you acknowledge their loss, and you're also offering some words of encouragement. Okay. And one thing we have to bear in mind, there will come times when a person is grieving is going to want to be with friends and loved ones. Okay. But there's also going to be a time where the person wishes to be alone. We need to be respectful of that person. If a person who is going through loss wishes to be alone for a certain length of time, we need to respect that person's wishes. At the same time, if a person who is grieving wishes to be with their loved ones and that, be there for them. Be there for them. Show them that show them your love and your solidarity towards the ones that are grieving. Okay. And whatever you do, please be mindful of what you say. Because unfortunately, there have been people that have said things. Not okay, not okay. They mean well. They try to be compassionate, but it comes out awkward. Like for example, when someone says, "I know what you feel," no, you don't, because you're not going through the grief as they're going through. Now, if I'm addressing someone that lost their parent, I'm not going to assume that I understand what they're going through because I don't. Okay, I don't know what was the nature of the relationship that that person had with their parents. Maybe it was a loving relationship. Maybe it was a toxic relationship. Maybe there was a period where they haven't just spoken to each other in years, and um, perhaps there was never an opportunity for a reconciliation. I don't know that. Okay, and it's not my place to try to ascertain that. Okay, but we need to be mindful of what we say. And it is just best to simply acknowledge their grief and state that we're keeping them in our thoughts. And for those of us that pray, we're keeping them in our prayers. And or trying to send good vibes. Okay. You do that, you'll be surprised uh, how well people will receive it because you're not trying to belittle their grief. You're not trying to tell them to stop grieving. You're acknowledging that they're grieving and you acknowledge the fact that there's very little that you could do, but what you can do is just be supported, uh, check in every now and then, call them, visit them, maybe help them with some of their chores. Uh, Also, maybe it could be if they're prepared, maybe do some activities like taking a walk, maybe go and have coffee, or just talk for a visit. And maybe if you feel inclined, um, after the person passes away, bring a meal. I mean, there is a great many things that you can do helping to deal with someone that's grieving. Okay. Whatever you should not do is be judgmental, criticizing, and for Pete's sake, do not tell that person that that loved one is rotting in hell. First of all, we don't know that. We don't know anything regarding what that person's relationship with God is. We do not know that. And for all we know, if the person that had no relationship with God, maybe at the last minute form a relationship. Because believe it or not, there is such a thing as deathbed conversions, okay? It is not our place to determine whether or not they were sincere or not. It is not our place, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm not going to act like God. I'm not going to try to do the job that only God can do. If someone had a deathbed conversion, I'm just going to accept it as gospel. So, in any case, I have been talking for almost an hour. Okay, so the link is there. But mind you, I'm not going to stay long because I'm going to be catching Latin TV stream. And again, if you never had the opportunity, please check out Latin Explain TV with Denise Gonzalez. She always create a lot of great content. Um, and also gives you a lot many things to think about. Now, are you going to agree with everything? No, but at least she'll give you some things to consider. She'll give you some things to ponder. And as I stated on numerous occasions, I actually met Denise in another stream when I had a disagreement. The difference was, unless with some of the people who part of the circus, I allow her the opportunity to express her viewpoints with greater detail. And then I realized, you know what? A lot of what she says makes sense. A lot of what she says makes sense. So, but every now and then I will continue to bring up this topic because it's something to discuss. It's something we all got to deal with, and the reality is, all of us at some point or another deal with grief and deal with the loss of a loved one. Okay. And one thing to bear in mind, as long as you have fond memories of the person that you lost, that person will forever live in your hearts. I truly believe that. Um, that's how I feel about my mother, my father, three brothers that passed away, my oldest sister that passed away, and my two nephews. Okay. And you learn how to appreciate the loved ones that you have left, particularly when you're going through as many losses as I go through. And the reality is, as I get older, I'm going to be tending more funerals. Most likely be my siblings or close friends of mine. But that's how life is. And one thing we have to bear in mind, and I'm gonna start to wrap this up is that tomorrow is not promised to anybody. Okay. So if you have a situation when you have a beef with someone, you have an estrangement with someone, if you can, try to reconcile with that person. If you can't, at least you tried. Okay. The worst feeling that you can have, one of the worst things that you have is that someone you know passed away, and then you have grievances with that person, and then you never took the opportunity to try to resolve um, those grievances with that person. And believe me, that is the worst feeling that you can have. That is the worst feeling that you can have. That knowing that you had a beef with someone and that person passed away be- without an opportunity to try to be reconciled with that person. Because the amount of guilt that's attached to it, I would never wish that on anybody. Not one bit. I would never wish that on anybody. Okay. And that is extremely painful. Which, why explain why I'm willing to have a dialogue with Sacrifice, but not on this platform. Okay. People going to think I'm crazy and things of that nature, but the thing is, part of the message of Christianity is forgiveness. And let me state this again. Forgiveness does not mean restoration. You can forgive someone and then not have any further dealings with that person. My definition of forgiveness is when you reach the point that what the person said or what the person did no longer affect you to the point when they create painful memories. That is my definition of forgiveness. It does not mean that you and that person have a kumbaya moment. It does not mean that you two are back to what to your previous state. No. What it is that the hurt or the words that was said no longer has any effect. And one thing I said before, and I'm going to keep saying, I cannot control what a person say or do. What I control is how I'm going to respond. And let me repeat it again. I cannot control what another person says or does. I control how I will respond. And I prefer, if I can, to try to make peace. And if I can't, at least I tried. And if that person passes away, well, at least I tried. And it takes two people to be reconciled. It takes two people to make peace. Okay. Well, with that being said, I'm going to stop to wrap it up. Now, of course, I'm going to be live Friday night, and I'm going to have another episode of Open Discussion where I will be talking. Actually, it's going to be a little different. Okay. Yes, I'm going to speak about different topics, but I'm also going to be talking about how to deal when you encounter law enforcement, particularly ICE. Because nowadays, with this mass deportations, it's always a there's always a possibility that someone screws up, and next thing you know, you have to deal with ICE. So I'm gonna share with you how to deal with that situation. And just want to say a huge shout out to the people in the chat. I mean, I knew that other people being doing streams, there was gonna the attendance going to be low. So most people will catch the stream on the playback. And of course, the playback gang, you know the deal. You're more than welcome to enter one of the comments and what have you. You can also share it as long as you use it to help others and not to attack other people. Okay, because this is not a stream. This is not a platform to take sides on beefs. This is a platform where people are able to express their point of views as they see fit, and we all don't have to agree. And in fact, the only thing I ask is to be agreeable when we disagree. If we can be agreeable when we disagree, then we can interact with each other with intelligence. Um, those that cannot interact with intelligence, please don't come here. Please do not come here. So, with that being said, I thank you very much for your time and your energy, because you could have just easily watched other people, other streams, and other content creators, and the fact that you saw fit to spend some time, whether it be for the whole stream or just a portion of it. So I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please consider subscribing to this channel. Um, and of course, set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. And of course, I'm going to close with the same way I always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the persons under mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, and please be mindful. There is no timestamp on grief. Okay? With that, have a good night, take care, and